So Elon Musk and Donald Trump are trying to steal your money and now steal your gold. That's the subject of today's video. And what the heck are they up to today? These are real headlines. Trump plans to visit Fort Knox gold reserve. Selling it won't fix the U.S. budget. Like, what? When I read this stuff, it becomes like, obviously, this is a total clown show. But unfortunately, the clown show is here and we have to live it every day. And then this is Senator Rand Paul. I guess he wrote a letter. They're trying to get to the gold at Fort Knox. If you guys don't know and follow the story, they've been talking about having the U.S. government buy a whole bunch of Bitcoin, and they're talking about reversing policies to roll back any kind of regulations on Bitcoins and cryptos. And now we're talking about auditing our gold. I mean, these guys are bank robbers, and they're doing it in broad daylight, and already the markets can see what they're doing. Regular people can see what they're doing, and it's freaking insane. These are headlines also today. U.S. stocks post worst slide in 2 months on gloomy economic data. Basically, the way the markets work is they, look at the future, they kind of see what's going on now, and they start making predictions, right? And when you see that Musk and Trump are basically destroying America, destroying our economy, and again, they're just trying to steal our money and gold, it's like, okay, great. I'm getting out of the market. I don't trust any of this stuff. And that's what you're seeing. On top of that, GOP lawmakers, you can see here, get an earful on Musk Doge. Elon Musk wants to cut all of your services that you need. They want to cut anything that would be decent and good in the U.S. government. They want to just gut everything so that they can run wild. Essentially, you can see these town halls. People are getting very, very angry. Have a listen to this.
So yelling at me is not going to get any answer. You are offensive to the people. You are offensive. Point of order. Hey, let's get through this commentary. I've seen Game of Thrones too. Thank you. Let's go ahead and move on because.
So that was Representative Rich McCormick. You can find more longer footage of that if you like, but basically he tries to come out and say, hey guys, we got to cut things and it's time to, trim and everything's going to be great. And I was like, what the heck are you talking about? And people are booing him and stuff like that. On top of that, essentially Elon Musk represents sort of where we are as a country in the USA, where we are culturally. And effectively, a lot of it is hubris. And, essentially Musk, with the intellect of a 13-year-old, thinks that he is so smart that he can, run everything and do everything all by himself and essentially, toss as many plates and pies in the air and keep it all, juggling just fine. And when he gets called out on it, he essentially abuses substances. That's the right way to say it. He's lived in this crazy fantasy world. And to be fair to Musk, he surrounds himself with a bunch of yes people. And so in his mind, maybe he actually thinks he can do all these things, but this is the kind of headlines that you get. Musk looks at auditing the Federal Reserve. I mean, come on. And some of this part is like, hey, I've got the keys to the car. Let's see how fast the car can go. I feel like it's that kind of mentality. And so when you understand who these people are, it's effectively bank robbers, right? And so they want to eliminate the cops so they can steal as much from the bank as possible. And then, you got this stuff happening. Hackers steal 1.5 billion from crypto exchange Bybit in the biggest ever heist, right? That's the world that the Musk and Trumps are going to. They essentially want to scam you by, hey, put all your money in these stupid doggy coins. And Trump and Melania actually have coins. This is actually a real thing. Musk will pump up whatever coins, whatever financial scams, and then people, lose their money out this stuff. And then on top of that, Putin's all happy. He's like, hey, I'm going to do business in Russia. We're all going to be rich again, right? And so Putin and USA and are now developing better relations. Musk even made a comment about Putin. I just made a video about that. And so he's celebrating because he thinks he's going to get rich. And effectively what Musk and Trump are trying to do is create sort of a world to where the USA goes more authoritarian, a world that's more friendly to the oligarchs and the billionaires, right? So you'll get these headlines. And I'm just going through the news of the day. Why Musk admires China. And if you understand this stuff, right? And guys, I used to live in China. I used to work there, worked in 3 different cities. I even write about it in my book. And effectively what it is that you have this world where, business can run wild, break whatever rules that they want. And if anyone complains, if like say Tesla cheats you or anything like that, well, tough luck. You can't sue us, right? There's no accountability. The government won't have any oversight. And that's the world that Musk wants. On top of that, Musk wants to create like a super everything app that will do everything, like, do your taxes, be your dating app, do your crypto exchange, be your bank, be your telephone, be your communication, be your internet, be your TV, like be your games, like literally be everything. And they'll have these kind of companies like, say, a WeChat in China, but it's illegal in USA because that would be a monopoly. And so that's why, Musk and Trump, they kind of want to go to that world of like a China or Russia, to where they can control everything and have no oversight on them. And this was actually really interesting when you guys see the headlines today. It was like everything was nuts today. It's a good time to be a scammer in America. This is coming from Bloomberg, and they were saying basically all of these scams are increasing insane amounts. So you got social media scams are going up, phone call scams are going up, website and app scams are going up, email scams are going up, text scams are going up, mail scams, all this stuff is going up. And these are the types of scams, right? You can see you got investment related imposter scams, foreign money scams. It's like nuts. And it's interesting because if you look at, say, things that happen, I'm just using China and Russia for example again, all these things are designed to just abuse the regular people, or the way that, say, Musk likes to falsely advertise with his Teslas. And if there's no oversight in this stuff, they'll get away with it. But people are calling it out. That's why we have these talks every single day, because I can see it, you can see it. You're in the right place, guys. You're not crazy if you're like, what the hell is going on? And I try to just show you the highlights of how to understand it and put it all together, because you'll actually see a clear picture when you look at it. For example, so now I guess Trump wants to fire a whole bunch of people. And this would be Trump and Musk, not just Trump, but fire a whole bunch of people from the IRS. And as it turns out, which is not shocking, the firings will hurt specific taxpayers and benefit others, right? And who do you think it's going to hurt? And let me read the description so you know what we're talking about here. It says, who could be affected? In January 2023, Stanford Institute for Economic Policy Research found that Black people who claimed the Earned Income Tax Credit, a tax break for low and moderate income workers, were audited at far higher rates than their non-Black counterparts, right? In a letter to the Senate Finance Committee at the time, IRS Commissioner Danny Werfel said the agency was, quote, deeply concerned by the university's findings and would work to address the disparities. So what it sounds like to me, the way that they're going to do these things is, hey, let's, cut people at the IRS that would, effectively go after billionaires, stuff like that. And let's, make sure we still enforce tax policy on poor people. And that's what the Musk and Trumps want. And I don't want to make any jokes about this because I think it's awful, and that's why we have to call it out. And also you have this, Musk's company Tesla just had a recall, 375,000 vehicles, something's wrong with their steering. And it's funny, this recall actually represents our current state of the economy and the markets when you just listen to the description of it. So again, this is a Tesla recall. It says here, this is today, the printed circuit board for the electric power steering assist may become overstressed, right? Just like our economy, just like how we are right now, may become overstressed, causing a loss of power steering assist when the vehicle stops and accelerates again, the agency said. And when I read that, I was like, how, Musk wants to fire and rehire people, right? It's like this is a metaphor for where we are, the Tesla recall and the steering problem. The loss of power may require drivers to assert more control over the wheel, especially at lower speeds, increasing the risk of crash, the agency added. So that's what you get if you let Musk and Trump control things, more risks of crashes. On top of that, you have astronauts calling out Elon Musk. He's getting fights with them. The first, Elon Musk says, hey, I hate laws and regulations. Like excessive laws and regulations, the result in those, everything being illegal. He always complains about that nonsense, right? And then the astronauts are like, dude, shut up. Musk, after spat with astronaut, calls for deorbiting the International Space Station, right? He's getting in fights with astronauts. They're calling him a liar, actually, which is pretty interesting. Because usually, astronauts, they don't need to get involved with this stuff. But I understand from their point of view, like if someone like a Musk is like just blatantly lying about how things are. I mean, it says Andres Morganson, what a lie from someone who complains about lack of honesty. From the mainstream media, right, calling Musk a liar. You also got this. Scott Kelly says, I was a commander of the ISS when Andy flew his first space mission. He is one of the most competent, trustworthy, honest people I've ever met. This rhetoric is beyond pale, but sadly not surprising. He does not deserve this kind of disrespect. Elon Musk is calling astronauts, you are fully retarded. SpaceX could have brought them back, whatever. And they're arguing about, was this whole thing political or not? And the astronauts are just like, hey, we're just trying to do business, etc. Even Captain Mark Kelly's like, hey, Elon Musk, when you finally get the nerve to climb into a rocket ship, come talk to the three of us. And if you don't know, Musk won't fly in his own rockets, right? Now, basically, what it is that Boeing had some problems returning astronauts home. There was some scheduling, and then they, Musk party or whatever company, Elon Musk, SpaceX decided to go and help with the astronauts. There were some delays on that, and Musk is trying to call the delays being political and things like this. But it's just sometimes it's not necessarily everything's political, and that's why the astronauts are just like, hey, we're not stranded like you trying to make it out to be. This is not political, etc. It's already been scheduled, and etc. So that's what they're talking about. But long story short, the astronauts call Elon Musk a liar, and Elon Musk is a liar. That's what it ends up being. On top of that, and the reason why I have to show you guys multiple things, because there's people out there that still think Elon Musk is some sort of crazy genius, even though he's got intellect of a 13-year-old. He's even being called out by Grimes, who's one of his baby mamas. I think he's got 4 baby mamas, or maybe 5. I actually have a hard time keeping track. But basically, this is the headline reads: Elon Musk says, "I am become meme," after sources said he'd rather tweet than be a parent. Ow, that hurts, right? He'll call out when it's like, oh, when people call him out, like on his lies and stuff like that, he gets angry at his own system. But this is that's kind of how it is, right? This is Grimes, so I think I don't remember which one. And you guys write in comments which wife this is. I forget. But it says here, please respond about our child's medical crisis. I am sorry to do this publicly, but it is no longer acceptable to ignore the situation. This requires immediate attention. This is just yesterday. If you don't want to talk to me, can you please designate or hire someone who can, so that we can move forward on solving this? This is urgent, Elon. So she's concerned about her kid. And I think this is the kid that he kicks around with him all the time as the body shield. I'm not giving you details, but he won't respond to texts, call, or emails. And he has skipped every meeting, and our child will suffer lifelong impairment if he doesn't respond ASAP. So I need him to effing respond. And if I have to apply public pressure, then I guess that's where we are at. So she deleted these tweets, but she's essentially the way that it is, right, is like, well, I need this guy to respond to take care of my kid, and I'm going to try to shame him publicly, which I completely understand. Like, that may be the only stuff that Musk responds to. And for some people, they'll say, well, Chris, why are you talking about his personal life? That's his personal life. But this represents the kind of person that he is. And Musk is basically, up there with Trump, 2 13-year-olds running the world into the ground. I mean, we're watching this, train wreck live. And that's why you have to show all of this stuff to say, guys, these people aren't geniuses. These people aren't great business people. They are con men. That's what it is. And their life's in shambles. And they want our lives to be in shambles too. This whole thing's insane. And on top of that, they're talking about now they want to privatize the post office or whatever, merge it with the Department of Commerce. Trump's like, oh, I'm going to fire everyone. I mean, that's when in doubt. It's just like they're throwing temper tantrums nonstop. And that's why you have to, like, what's the best way to describe it? Is like, don't talk about these people like having any sort of sane policy or whatsoever. Because that's essentially what Fox News and all their followers have to say. They say, wow, these guys are so rich, so they must be geniuses, and they must have some magic plan. And it's like, no, guys, these guys are idiots. They're corrupt. And essentially, oftentimes they'll make these crazy policies, just like, it's like they're sitting around the dorm room, smoking whatever. And like, oh, wouldn't it be cool if we like did this and did that and stole the gold and got rich, man? And look what they're doing over in Russia. Look how rich he is. Look at his military. Let's get like big military like that. It would be awesome. Like that's why they admire the dictators and authoritarian kind of regimes, because they can do whatever they want, have whatever riches they want, have as many kids as they want, right? It's just they live in this crazy fantasy world. And, reality's catching up with them. On top of that, like I said, there's so much craziness going on. I guess Trump's firing their head of their ICE thing, so they're not deporting as many people as he wants. So, okay, you're fired, get someone else. And on top of that, there was a really interesting survey on the end of essentially an empire, right? The American one. It says here, debt has always been the ruin of great powers. Is the U.S. next? The basic gist of it was like, when you look at the hubris by Musk and Trump, where they want to, take over Canada, take over Greenland, rename, Gulf of Mexico to Gulf of America. It's hubris, right? And then you got, Musk swinging around, chainsaw saying how awesome everything is. And they point to something really interesting, essentially, when your debt and essentially all of this, great grandiose plans that you have catch up to you. And when your debt exceeds your military spending, you're in big trouble, right? And essentially, you can't do this forever. It actually showed this interesting chart, sort of how we are now, and effectively, and guys, I understand the idea that when Musk and Trump will come and say, well, don't you want to fight waste? Trust us, we'll fight waste. And it's like, hey, I'm not against fighting waste or fraud, but I just don't necessarily trust you to be the one doing it, because you're actually making things worse. And that's where we're at right now. They try to gaslight you, meaning that they want you to say, don't look at reality, right? Pay no attention to the billionaire behind the curtain. Just like, hey, look at this shiny object, right? And then why they have you look at whatever stupid shiny object of the day is, they're out to steal the gold, which is kind of ridiculous. That's literally what we're talking about. So I want to hear your thoughts on this stuff. I hope this makes sense, everyone. So please be safe out there, and I'll catch you all in the next video.